Hello, welcome to Nate's Noms. Usually I have my super cool purple light behind me, but it's dead today, so pure white it is. Today's recipe is kind of one of the more crazy things that I've ever done-ish, but I love it. It's insane. What I made was mushrooms, on mushrooms, on mushrooms, on toast. That's the wrong way round with the order that I was going. There are 3 different kinds of mushrooms on toast. And when I say 3 different kinds of mushrooms, I don't mean like 3 different mushroom varieties. I mean mushrooms in 3 different forms. There's a powder, an air, and then just some sauteed mushrooms, as is usually on top of toast. And I'm just gonna go through making it. It was super cool, really fun to make, and uses some of the molecular gastronomy stuff that some people asked for me to do more of. In this case, the air is what counts as molecular gastronomy. But also the powder itself is just something delicious that you can use to decorate your plates and things like that. So, without any further ado, let's go. The first thing that I prepared was the powder. The powder is probably the easiest bit to do. All you need are some dehydrated mushrooms. These here are some button mushrooms that I dehydrated myself in the dehydrator that we have at home. But if you don't have a dehydrator, you can just use dried porcini mushrooms or dried shiitake mushrooms, which you can get at the supermarket. Throw those into a grinder and then grind them into a fine powder. You can see here, but it's kind of fine, but you can still see some bits in there. To break up those bits, add a little bit of salt. The salt, one, flavors the powder to make it more delicious, bring out that mushroominess, but also the crystals will help break up those last bits that haven't gotten to a fine powder. I also added some garlic powder, so this turned into a garlic mushroom powder, and you take a spoon of it and taste it, and it just does taste like garlic mushrooms, but in a weird, dry, powdery form, which doesn't sound great, but you're not supposed to just eat a spoon of the powder. It's there to flavor other things that you're making. With that, your mushroom powder, your garlic mushroom powder in fact, is done. Next step is making the air. An air is kind of like the foam that you get from like washing up liquid or something like that. It doesn't carry a lot of flavor, but it's a really cool texture to add on top of a dish, and it adds a little bit of visual interest. So to make this air, I started off with the secret ingredient, which is this, some kombu. Kombu needs to be wiped down first with a damp cloth. Throw the kombu into a pot, cover it with cold water, and then bring that water to the boil. Once it's boiled, strain out the liquid, and then you can literally throw the seaweed away. It's done because all that flavor is actually in the liquid. If you give it a taste, it will be delicious. And actually, I'd recommend this, using this like kombu water as a base for all of your soups, just to add an extra layer of flavor. But in this case, what we're gonna do is make a shiitake mushroom dashi. So take the liquid, pull it back on the heat, and then add some dried shiitake mushrooms, cover and simmer. You leave that to simmer until the mushrooms have rehydrated, and then you can pull those mushrooms out. You can use them for something else if you wish. But once again, the flavor that we want has seeped out into the liquid, and we have this shiitake mushroom dashi. Finally, finish it off with a few herbs. I'm using some thyme and some parsley, and then I blend those until it's smooth, and we have our base air. It's gonna be like a herby mushroom dashi air. However, how do we actually make it an air? That's when this ingredient comes in, which is lecithin powder or soy lecithin. Soy lecithin just helps stabilize liquids a little bit more, meaning that when you make bubbles, the bubbles actually stay. So if you add in 0.3 to 1% soy lecithin, blend that in with the blender to make sure it's truly dispersed in the liquid. Strain it out to get rid of any solid herb bits still left in the liquid. And then with the help of an air pump and a handy dandy bubble stone, boom, you got a foam. Unlike what I did when I actually did this, and you'll see in the end, you probably want to leave the foam for about a minute just to stabilize before you spoon any out to put on top of your dishes. So in this case, let's imagine that's what I did. And what you can use that time to do is sauteing some mushrooms. Take a pan, add the mushrooms in, which are chopped, a little bit of water, and then steam the mushrooms. At which point the mushrooms will like release all the water that they're holding on to. Let all of that water evaporate, and then once it has, add some oil and some black pepper and just fry them off until they've gotten a little bit brown. Quick, easy, you got some mushrooms, they're done, and they can all go onto the plate. First, some toast. I cut mine in a circle to make it look pretty. I just threw it in a toaster, but if you're being fancy, toast it in a pan with a little bit of butter. Then on top, add your sauteed mushrooms, and we have some mushrooms on toast. On top of that, add your garlic mushroom powder, and you have mushrooms on toast. Then finish it off with your herby shiitake dashi, foam, and mushrooms on toast. This was super delicious actually. Like, it was packed full of mushroom flavors. If you don't like mushrooms, it's not the one for you, but if, like me, you do, this is like really fun. And all of the individual components of it, you could actually take and use in some other way. You could add some kind of mushroom air on top of like a red meat or something like that. You could decorate a salad or something with the mushroom powder. There's a load of ways you can use each of these different bits. So this is one dish which actually is multiple little tricks we can use in your own time. If you enjoyed and want to see more, always remember to subscribe, like the video. If there's something specific you'd like to see or you've tried it yourself, comment on the video below and let me know. But with that, as per usual, I will see you all next time.